you're never satisfied, and that there's always something you can do to improve your game or help your team or whatever, and just stay very hungry to the idea that we can never settle. And at times, right, we're still dealing with kids. Sometimes that looks differently, game in and game out. But ultimately, we kind of embrace that. Even, last year at times we had a little bit of a rough patch, but we always kind of came back to those values that we instill as a team. And it kind of hit at the right time, I guess.
Yeah. How would you, as the head coach, describe the culture of this team? Those set values that you were talking
Sure.
about.
I would say probably more so than I've seen in a long time. This group really is embracing that. We had a late practice actually last night, and it was as intense of a practice as I can remember in a long time. And the idea that they're all competing, they're all growing. We have some guys that are out this year that maybe didn't even play a year or two ago, and they are challenging for a starting spot just from where they started day one to now where they're at here today. They're already making leaps and bounds, and just kind of showing that growth and showing that idea that they have to stay hungry. And then also another one of our values is kind of just build that community. I tell the kids, soccer, and no matter what sport it is, it could be football, soccer, baseball, whatever it is, the sports it's already hard, right? And then you play another team that makes it harder yet. And you always need to kind of get to that place where you need to lean on the guy next to you, and you got to build that community piece as part of that kind of value system that we have in place. And I think these guys, while they are like competing so fierce in practice, they still, as soon as we're done, they still lean on that idea of community. And they're joking with their buddies next to them after we're done. And it just has really been great to see.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about, guys knocking off the #1 seed last year, just a good postseason run, making it to the state quarterfinals. How valuable was that experience to the younger guys in the team who are now a little older?
Yeah. So what's kind of crazy is last year we had 3 freshmen that all played in that game. And one of them started. Mason Haas was a starter for us last year as a freshman, and the only freshman in all of 5A to get postseason honors. And so, him, and we have a kid named Brian Diaz, both played significant minutes for us in that postseason run. And so taking away a lot of that experience. And then we went into penalty shootouts last year to kind of win the championship. And our true freshman goalkeeper, Allen, who's now going to play for us this year, made a game-winning save in the PKs. And, that's what won it for us. And so, I'm not sure, as a freshman in high school, you can have a much bigger stage than that, right? To like play in a championship style game for a chance to go in to be the final 8 in 5A state. And so it's been good experience, but that experience alone was great. But really, I would say I would lean more toward the times when we underperformed last year and give the kids perspective on what we were at versus what we finished at, right? Like when we didn't play well versus then that final or that regional championship game, and then our game in first round of state really gave us perspective on where we need to get to, and then even what we need to do more. And so I think that was really helpful, kind of the full gamut of the season. We took a lot of lessons away from that.
Yeah. And now, looking ahead to this season, what about this team do you think are the biggest strengths and then the biggest things you were trying to work on?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think one of our biggest strengths is I think we all tend to want to move in the same direction. I think all the kids are really motivated and hungry to do really, really well. If you were to ask me strengths as far as positions on the field, I think our midfield, especially like our central midfield, is as strong as any team we're going to play. Um, I think areas where we can maybe have growth, or areas where I think that maybe we may start slow. I mean, I want to see us, just because defensively is brand new, I want to see us gel together as a defensive back line. I also want to see us, can we convert opportunities in front of the goal? So those are still question marks. I feel pretty confident that we can, but ultimately we won't know until we face off with Washburn Rural next Tuesday.
Yeah, and I believe you guys have a game on September 5th against Lawrence Free State at home as well.
Yep.
Scheduled that. Don't you guys know it's the Chiefs home opener?
Right, I know. I mean, come on.
Making our lives difficult.
I know, I know, I know.
Well, just how excited are you to see, fans come out and get behind the Thunderbirds this year?
I mean, I'm pumped. This is the best time of year, right? Like I always tell people I'm super blessed. One, I get to do something I love every day as part of my job. Two, I get to see how excited the kids are to kind of showcase the hard work that they've put in. And three, I get to see these guys that work so hard, and I get to see them grow and become not only great soccer players, but just really awesome human beings over the course of not just a season, but over the course of 4 years. And so for me, the games are just that's kind of the payoff, right? Win or lose. Obviously, you don't do this to lose games, but you that's the payoff. That's the fun part, is watching how hard these guys work and the time they put in, and the fun they get to have in the game. So I would say I'm super excited. We always have a pretty good turnout, especially when we play kind of big games, in city type rivals, whether it's Rural or Seaman or those type of games. And our students show up and our fans show up, and it's just a really great atmosphere.